Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Swish City, where we're doing our power rankings, ranking each team starting off from Team 30, going to Team 1, leading up to the NBA season. If you guys have missed the previous videos, go check them out. We've broken down an abundance of teams. I'm going to be honest with you, I can't remember which number we are on, but in today's episode, as you guys can tell from the thumbnail, from the title, we're going to be discussing a team in the Eastern Conference known as the Atlanta Hawks. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. They are going to be coming in at this number for our power rankings, and we're going to be breaking down, looking at their additions, subtractions, who that looks good on their team, who I doesn't think necessarily fit, and overall a record prediction for the team at the end. So I hope you guys do enjoy the content. If you do, make sure to hit that like button, make sure to hit that subscribe button, as we got NBA content coming through all throughout the season and leading up to it. But without further ado, let's get into this video at hand today. So like I said in the introduction, we're going to be discussing the Atlanta Hawks in this video. And the Atlanta Hawks have made some moves this offseason that have helped them in a similar sense, but I don't think that they have made all the moves to really unlock what this team can truly bring and showcase for the potential that it can become. So we're going to be looking at that today and discussing why I have them coming in so low. Drop down in the comments. Do you think they're too low, too high? Where would you rank them? Let me know what you guys think. But let's dive in and let's get into this. First, let's look at all the transactions the Atlanta Hawks made. And it was a busy offseason for this Hawks squad. Now, the Hawks, a couple seasons ago, made the Eastern Conference Finals and have fallen short year after year after year since then. So this year was a big shakeup for the team, as this had been the lowest they had been placed where they were in the play-in. Their key departures that they lost this offseason were Sadiq Bey, where he signed to the Washington Wizards in free agency, Bruno Fernando being waived, AJ Griffin and EJ DeLadell both being traded, with AJ Griffin retiring, which we wish him nothing but the best of luck in his life. We don't know what's going on there. And DeJounte Murray, one of their all-star players at the guard position who they just traded for a couple seasons ago, was just moved to the Pelicans this offseason. Now, the Hawks did bring back some guys and bring in some nice, intriguing pieces. They went out and got Dominic Barlow from the Spurs on a two-way deal. In that trade for DeJounte Murray, they went out and acquired Dyson Daniels, Larry Nance Jr., Cody Zeller, and EJ Liddell. And they ultimately used EJ Liddell's name and young face with his great block ability to flip for David Roddy to add him to their wing group. They also went out and brought back Vic Krejci, who's been a player that's been playing on their G League and at the end of their rotation for the last couple of seasons. He's been brought back on a multi-year deal. So we want to look at this Hawks team on courtesy of Spot Track and courtesy of Keith Smith NBA, who works for Spot Track and is so fantastic in getting these updated with his other colleagues. We can see that the Hawks are mainly controlled by some of their players that are at top tier. Trae Young being their best player, obviously the player that has kind of restarted this rebuild, kind of the player the face is of the franchise. You know what I mean? Let's not ignore a player that's been overrated, underrated throughout his career, has dealt with some injuries the last couple of seasons, but I still think is a top tier point guard. They have Clint Capella, DeAndre Hunter, Bojan Bogdanovic, players that have, been with this team for the last couple of seasons, have been staples for this franchise, but as we've seen, have not really propelled them or taken them into a bigger direction or a greater outcome than the Eastern Conference Finals, which they fell short a couple of seasons ago. They have some young pieces as well in Onyeka Okongwu, Jalen Johnson, Kobe Buffkin, who have been on this team, and they recently went out and had the number one overall pick and signed Zachary Richard, who a lot of fans were questionable on that signing as well. So the Hawks have a lot of questions, need to answer a lot of them. Will they be a middle of the pack team once again this season? Will they show some growth? Will Zachary Rizashar look nice at that number one pick? So we're going to be diving in and exploring some of these questions, looking at some players that I like with this squad and some players that I dislike with this team. So let's get into that right now. So the first player that we're going to be discussing and player that I'm very, very high on is newly acquired point guard Dyson Daniels. Now, Dyson Daniels was selected as a lottery pick by the New Orleans Pelicans, I believe, correct me if I'm mistaken, the 10th overall pick just a couple of seasons ago. And he came in as a fantastic young point guard, player similar of the likes of Josh giddy and being from Australia, but also being a playmaking pass first point guard. His goal is to set up the offense and to be a solid defender as well. Now, unfortunately, with the Pelicans, they already have some players like that in their system. CJ McCollum, their veteran point guard, is going to play over him. They have some logjam at the wing position. So players like Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, and Brandon Ingram have to play that two guard. And they also have another guard who plays a very similar role in Jose Alvarado, who's a fan favorite and let's say got a contract extension today, the day as of recording, as well with the Pelicans. Therefore, unfortunately for Daniels, he just couldn't really crack into the system, couldn't really find himself a big enough role with this Pelicans team because his role was already taken. He is now being transferred over to the Atlanta Hawks, who basically wanted DeJounte Murray, the player that they just traded out, to be this type of player alongside Trey Young. Now, Dyson Daniels, I think, can work alongside Trey Young in some instances. They are both very small, so teams would be able to overpower him with some bigger guards or bigger wings, so it would have to work on matchups. But I do believe how Davion Mitchell kind of off plays in a player in Emmanuel quickly. I think Dyson Daniels can grow to be that type of defender and playmaker that could work very, very offhand with Trey Young as a great combination of point guards. And like I said, the Atlanta Hawks have not had this type of point guard in their system with Trey Young, before Trey Young. This is a new type of guy they're bringing in. If he can work on his POA defense, can be a very, very great point of attack defender while also being able to play make and score alongside this team. I think he's going to be a perfect backup alongside Trey Young and seemingly sometimes could play alongside of him in some moments. That three ball, that shot is going to have to come more to life as well in Atlanta. And I do believe with him getting a bigger role, it is going to allow him to highlight that shot some more and focus on growing that shot making ability as well. Dyson Daniels is one of the key intriguing young players that I am very high on looking on this season and will be one of the main reasons why I'm watching Atlanta Hawks games this season. And another one of my fan favorites from this Atlanta Hawks team, let's talk about the big man, Onyeka Okongwu. And I'm going to let you know right now, ladies and gentlemen, right now, I have been on the Onyeka Okongwu train for years. My friends can tell you from fantasy basketball, going dating back, I have been saying, draft Onyeka Okongwu. Go with Onyeka Okongwu. His rebounding, his shot blocking at such a young age is going to help transcend the Atlanta Hawks. They're going to move on from Clint Capella. They're finally going to trade off of him. And every season I'm met with this. Clint Capella just starts every single time. Atlanta Hawks, you took a lottery pick. I believe the number 6 pick, it's backwards for you, but 6 pick overall in the draft, and you're going to stash him behind Clint Capella for years and years and years and never let him showcase his starting ability. It is absolutely sickening. This needs to change. This is the season that it needs to happen. Atlanta, trust me, Clint Capella is good. Don't get me wrong, but his contract is tradable. It is less than $20 million. You're telling me that teams around the league aren't going to want a double-double machine on the rebounding and boards and points, shot blocking, maybe has a little bit of foul trouble, maybe not the best free throw shooter, maybe not the best spacer, but if you have a spacing power forward or other forward in off the bench that can space, you can put Capella as a backup center, and you're going to tell me that he can't get traded, that no team is willing to go after him. I know New Orleans wanted him when they tried to get rid of for DeJounte Murray. I know they wanted Clint Capella attached to that. They have no center. What is going on? I do not know. Onyeka Okongwu is deserving of starting. He is deserving of getting those minutes in growing and showing. Atlanta is not a top 6 team in the East anymore. And with this roster, I can tell you for sure they will not be a top 6 team in the East. So move on from Clint Capella. Believe in your young rookie, you're not even young really anymore, developing center that you've had for the past couple seasons on the bench. And I tell you, he can do everything that Clint Capella can do just as good at a younger age, on a contract that's extensible, that can be team friendly, someone that can grow with your franchise. And guess what? You can get another role for Clint Capella. Wow, that's so smart, right? Atlanta Hawks front office. Let's not try to aim for a 41 win, 41 lose season, and let's try to actually get better in a direction. Okay? Thanks. So as you all can tell from that little mini rant, I don't need to go much into here. I don't really dislike anybody on this Atlanta Hawks team, but Clint Capella, I just think doesn't fit. And like I just said, for all those reasonings, just on my little ramble, I think he can help out an abundance of playoff teams. I know one team in specific that physically can't trade for him right now with the CBA restriction and being the Phoenix Suns, but they would desperately use him as a rebounder, as a shot blocker, as a rim protector. That is one thing that they needed last season, and they addressed it a little bit with Mason Plumlee. But I think he would be an instant upgrade over Yusuf Nurkic. Unfortunately, they just can't get a trade done with the CBA restrictions, but that would be a team that I think could look forward towards him. And I think there's an abundance of teams also, or even if you did a three-way trade, to just find something to get it done. We saw Karl Anthony Towns just get moved right yesterday, and the video came out on it today, a couple hours before this one. But like I said, Clint Capella was one of those names that was looked at by the Knicks. He's a rebounding center that can be effective at a pretty team friendly price. And the Hawks need to realize that they're not a top 3 team in the East, not even a top 6 team in the East. They're a top 10 team in the East, and top 10 team in the East is top 12 or top 13 team in the West, which is, let me tell you, no bueno. Not good. You're not getting any success. You're not beating Boston. You're not beating New York, who just traded for Karl Anthony Towns. You're not beating Philly. You're not beating Orlando. You're not beating Cleveland. You're not beating Indiana. You're not beating Milwaukee. You're not beating Miami. Who are you beating? Maybe Chicago, maybe Charlotte, maybe Toronto, depending on who you guys think is going to make it. It's no. Sell on Clint Capella when his value is the highest. Please. Sorry for the rants, but before we head out, as you guys know, we got to look at the record prediction, so let's get into it. Hawks finished at 35 and 47, a little bit of a jump higher than some of the last teams. Spurs finished at 31 wins yesterday at our next lowest team. So the Hawks finishing at 35 wins here. I think that's pretty solid for them. Trae Young will get them some wins. He will be a star-studded piece. But like I said, Jalen Johnson, we didn't really talk about him. He's a nice young guy that they have. Trae Young's a pretty solid guy. Nick Okong was pretty solid. We're going to have to see how Zachary Rishashar, their first round pick, looks. Is he going to be a bust? Is he going to be good? Will they look to move off DeAndre Hunter's fat contract that they've had for the last 3 seasons, even though he seemingly puts up 15 and 8 every single game, or he puts up 4 and 2 and is hurt half the season? Or will they still keep him in that logjam room with Jalen Johnson and with other wings like Zachary Reese-Shar, who is their number 1 pick that they want to grow but can't because they already have a log jam of depth in the wing group? I don't know. Atlanta, GM, you've already made an abundance of moves. You moved off of Trae Young, you brought DeJounte Murray, you brought in some veterans. Let's move off some of those other guys, bring in some help, and let's get Trae Young at least a push to do something. Because if not, by next season, or even in the season after that, Trae Young could be out the door. Your rebuild is right around as a revolving door starting once again. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. How do you guys feel? Where would you guys rank the Hawks? Do you think I ranked them too high, too low? Did you like my player translations? Did you not? I can go more in depth next time. Just drop down your comments, drop down your thoughts. Let me know how you guys feel throughout the video. I really do appreciate it. You guys are absolutely killing it, checking in, tuning in. I really do appreciate it once again, I'm Bruce Velez. Check out my Instagram or my Twitter at Bruce Velez as well to get all my NBA updates. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a great rest of your day. Peace out, everyone.